Welcome to another Friday Night Live. Y'all know what it is. It's the World Tag Team Champions.
Tag Team Champions.
Reigning and defending World Tag Team Champions of Interactive Sports Talk. We go by a certain name we're going to get to in just a second. But first of all, allow us to introduce ourselves individually. One half of the dynamic duo, they call me Stephen Box, a.k.a. Box. And you can find me at Real Play Callers. And I'm joined as always by my co-host, the one and the only.
They call me Cool McCain. You can find me at Cool McCain on Twitter. And you know who we are?
The Play Callers. Yes, sir. We are the Play Callers, man, because when you the champs, you call the plays. That's how this works. So that's what we do. We on that day one issue right here.
Yes, sir.
Man, I don't know if you actually realize this or not, bro, but we are only like a few months away from our 3-year anniversary.
Oh, I realize.
That's crazy, bro. We've been doing this for a minute.
Getting better every day. 1% better every day. My boy Nick Sirianni. Oh, silly Nick says.
But I will tell you this. If you're watching, you're tuning in live right now. If you're watching our replay, there's a whole lot of y'all that haven't hit that subscribe button yet.
Or
you haven't hit the like video. You haven't hit the like video on this button just yet. And you haven't dropped your comments yet. So let's make it happen, peoples. We appreciate you.
Really good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was kind of like a real appreciative, like telling people what to do kind of thing.
Well, hey man, you are who you are, bro.
I am who I am, man. Like Popeye with a spinach.
Was there really spinach though? That's all I'm gonna ask.
I mean, that's what they can say. That's all I can tell you, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's not my place to judge. So we got a couple of topics, man. So first of all, obviously we were not here last Friday night because we were here last Thursday night. We were covering the entire first round at the NFL draft. And since that time, we had a couple more rounds. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about who came out of the draft better, maybe who didn't come out so much better, some of the crazy storylines that came out of the draft itself. And there's something going on right now, man. Some basketball tournament that you might have heard something about. Oh, yeah. It's called the NBA playoffs.
Is that already going on?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about that too. Round 2. If you watched the show 2 weeks ago, you know how our predictions for round 1 went. There's no need to get back into it. So we're just going to go ahead and move on in. I know round 2 is already started. That's okay. We're going to talk about it in a little bit. So cool, man. Before we hop into those two topics, wanted to give you an opportunity to address a subject that we just saw actually a little bit ago, which is one of the players I know you followed for a long time in the WNBA, Candice Parker, is sound like she's planning on hanging it up after the season. So want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, man. The only real CP3, the one, the other guy's the 2, but she's the one. The only real CP3, man. Great career starting in college at Tennessee. Came in, won a championship as a rookie, went home last year, won another championship, lots of accolades and awards in between that time, man. Just a really great player. Not just a great female player, but to me, a great player. She has the size, the athleticism, especially earlier in her career. She could get up, played the game, the right way. Mm-hmm. And I mean, she's just done a lot to help women's basketball as it grew. She was kind of one of the faces as the game grew. We can talk about ladies like Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, Lisa Leslie, so many others that you could talk about. I'm not going to try to name everybody because I would leave somebody out and that would be disrespectful. Yeah. But definitely a trailblazer for the younger generation.
Yeah.
They don't know Lisa Leslie. They don't know Cheryl Swoops. What up, King Usfl? But you know what I'm saying? So many just great female athletes that she was able to kind of climb on their back and help take the game to the next level for the WNBA. Now the WA is entering season 26 starting tonight, man. And this may be her last season. So definitely someone that you want to give your flowers to while she's here. She's great. She's been great for the game. You know, she's hometown hero, did it in LA. I mean, you can't ask much more from a player in her position than what she's been able to give us. So big shout out to her. And, you know, I hope it's not her last year, but if it is, I definitely can understand. New baby, may want to get more time in with the missus and her daughter. So at some point, everybody's going to leave, but this is when it kind of hits you a little tight.
Yeah, because I know that's, you know, she's a player that you've been following for a very long time.
Oh man, I love this
Candice Parker. Her like back when she was in college. I remember you talking about her. So
yes, sir.
So yeah, man. Definitely be interesting. You know, I hope that she gets the same kind of love that a lot of the male athletes get when they announce ahead of time that this might be their last season. I hope she gets that same kind of love over on the WNBA side of things, and gets the respect for the career. So, man, heading over to our our NBA playoff talk. So, I don't know. Do you want to touch at all on any of the round one stuff? Or, I mean, I don't really think there's any big stories that necessarily need to be touched on there.
I mean,
I know some people might want to touch on the Kevin Durant thing, but you know.
I mean, I can definitely say one comment because that was the series I got wrong because I believed falsely in Kevin Durant. And I say falsely because it was unfair expectation. The man had just been back about 20 games from injury. Yep. We know that he's not as tough as he could be mentally. You know, he's been caught in multiple burner accounts and all kind of good stuff. So we know that Kevin Durant is who Kevin Durant is. Yep. But at the end of the day, he went out. He faced a team that was able to take away what he likes to do because he's a really small frame man. You know, he's easy to bump off spots. He's easy to foul, to get frustrated because he's had a lot of injuries over the years, and a lot of it's due to that small frame. So I think they just, with Tatum, you know, Brown and different people, things like that happen. You're just kind of like, hey, man, it is what it is. But I think that it's motivation for next year. Kyrie's going to get a little bit of the blame as well, but Kevin Durant never got off in that series. Never, ever. So that's kind of crazy to me. And hey, it just starts so many ridiculous conversations. The man had a bad series. They found ways to defend him and do it the right way. It happens. Sometimes the matchup is bad for you. It should have got one, but it is what it is.
Yeah, so we got a couple of comments over here about a rumor that Kevin Durant will move to play for Barcelona. So I had not heard that rumor myself yet. I don't know if you've heard anything about that.
Yeah, I haven't heard that, man. Definitely honestly, heard that.
Yeah, I would be pretty surprised if Kevin Durant left the NBA right now. But hey, I mean, you never know.
Man, Kevin Durant, I don't think he would lead the NBA. You definitely wouldn't want him playing soccer. That would probably be the worst sport for a guy his size with his injury history. Yeah.
Which, you know, what I would tell y'all, you know, I know every now and then we have some people pop in the comments and leave soccer comments and stuff like that. We don't talk soccer on this show. We stick just to, you know, American football and basketball here. But, you know, if y'all are interested in hearing that kind of commentary, you know, let us know. And, you know, we know some people. I know my co-host does, you know, watch a little bit of soccer. We know some other people as well. So that might be content. We might not do it live here on the show, but we can always maybe do some videos and get them up on the channel for you and have some of those conversations. So if that's something you're interested in, you know, let us know and we can, you know, maybe see about providing some of that content for you.
Oh yeah, I've got a soccer guy too.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. So it's one of our regulars here on the show, Big E. So
yes, sir.
Yeah. So yeah, man. By the way, I'm pretty sure this was in comment to your idea about Kevin Durant trying to play soccer.
It's the last thing you want ever, bro. Real talk.
or as non Americans call it, football.
Football.
Football. Yeah, I was trying not to do the pronunciation because I'm like, I'm gonna offend somebody with this terrible sounding accent, but so no offense to anybody out there, just my poor attempt to say the word.
Very poor.
So yeah, man, so we got another question on here. What about your league football? It's the second best league in the world and basketball. And there's an interview that he himself said he would like to end his career in the Euro League.
Maybe like at 45 or something, when he's done with the NBA.
Yeah. When I say I don't see him leaving the NBA, I mean like in his right now. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. Now,
Hey, Steph Marbury was just over there playing like a year or two ago. So
yeah, I think you see that out of a lot of guys now. Is they're starting to see that as a viable option when they get up there and they can't play at a high level in the NBA anymore. And I hate to say it this way because I'm not saying this to dismiss the other leagues, but I think a lot of these guys look at it as a way to continue cashing paychecks and getting big paydays once the NBA no longer wants to pay them.
And getting championships too. But to speak to your EuroLeague football, so EuroLeague, it's actually bigger. It's the biggest league in the world. It's probably the most popular because it's a worldwide sport. I think in America, of course, American football is top. But when you look worldwide, EuroLeague soccer is definitely more of a worldwide appeal. So it's the sport that I think actually is bigger worldwide. But watch out because the NFL's sliding games over. So trying to get a foothold over there in Europe as well.
Yep. What we have 5 international games, 6 international games this year. So definitely up in the States a little bit.
Yes, sir.
So so go ahead and jumping into these current series. So let's start with Miami and Philadelphia. Right now, Miami's up 2-0. Not really surprised by that. We both did say that, especially if Embiid doesn't play, Philadelphia has no chance in this series. He's obviously going to try to play tonight, wearing the mask. But the question that I really have is, how effective is he going to be? Because we've seen this with guys before, where they try to go out there with a mask or something, and it completely throws off their shot. Because if you've never tried to play with a mask or something, you don't understand how much it throws your vision off. It really disrupts your vision. So it's going to be interesting to see how well he can play with that. There's also the matter of the first time that he feels himself get hit in the face and he feels that mask press into his face. How's he going to handle that? So
yeah, when I think about that, what I say is simply this. When you're thinking about Miami and you're thinking about Philadelphia, Embiid also has a finger injury that's going to require off-season surgery. Yep. So if Embiid getting the ball, man, you hit him in the face, you hit him in the hand, right? Like real talk. That's how you play basketball. If you're playing basketball back in the day, anytime, when we play ball, you go play at the courts or whatever. If a dude is favoring his hand and he put his hand on the ball, you know what I'm saying? Like that's how you play. So going out there and trying to play with that injury, it's probably not the wisest thing. In the orbital bone injury as well, man. Sometimes you just got to say, you know what? It's better for me to pull it back in and just get ready for down the road. But he's a fighter. He wants to get out there and try to help his team win. He's going to give it a go. I don't think it's going to go too well for him, but at least he's going to give it a go, and he's not going to be, like a teammate of his and just sit on the side the whole year and not participate.
Yeah. And by the way, just want to acknowledge, I do see the comment over here about the USFL. We'll come back and touch on that a little bit after we finish talking the NBA playoffs here. So stick around, and we'll definitely have that conversation here in a little bit.
For sure.
One thing I see too with this series, I think it's pretty interesting, is Adebayo is really playing well. I thought that that might be one place that the 76ers might have had a little bit of an advantage was with their size. But he's done a really good job against, their bigs. So What have you seen out of that? What do you feel like he's doing that's making him so effective?
Well, I think when you don't have to guard Joel Embiid on defense,
That
you're a
helps.
lot fresher on offense.
That helps. Yeah.
Yeah, that helps a lot. I think another thing to look at is they're shooting so well from the perimeter. They have so many guys that's driving. He's able to get buckets in the flow of the game. He's able to crash. He's able to do so many simple things that look great on paper and look great when you see it. But when you think about it, it's just simple basketball. And he's able to do that because without Embiid, they have other guys that can play center, but they're not nowhere near the same level. And there's no disrespect to those guys. It's just the truth. So when you're missing Embiid, it changes what he can do. It changes how he can play. But that's 100% Embiid. This Embiid may be 50%. He may be 70%. He's not 100%. And without being 100%, you may not be much of an asset to your team in this series. But again, wanting to play, I'll never knock you for that.
Do you feel like you can call a winner in this series? Or do you need to see how Embiid plays before you can?
Nope. The winner is Miami.
Okay.
That's what's going to win the series.
Yeah, I don't think that they're good enough at this point to win enough games. Already being down 2-0, I think it's going to be too much for them to win.
Right.
But hey, I always say series doesn't really start till both teams play a home game, so that could change. But as of right now, I would also go with Miami. So
it's another series. Pick.
So another series that we both had agreed on, because we actually did talk about these during the week. So Phoenix and Dallas. I mean, look, we both said it didn't even matter who won between Utah and Dallas. They were going to lose in the next round anyways. New Orleans, I don't want to go back and spend too much time talking about the first round series, but I do want to actually get some props. I actually expected New Orleans to put up a little bit of a fight. They put up way more of a fight than I expected, though. They actually surprised me with how much of a fight they put up. So just want to give them some kudos. A young team just really finding their footing a little bit.
Yeah, they match up well against Phoenix in what they do well, especially with CJ McCollum and his ability to make plays, as well as shoot. Yep. So I think they just matched up well at the weaknesses that Phoenix has. So that's why they were able to do what they were able to do. But hey, that's part of basketball. I mean, when you look at the Suns and the Mavericks, man, come on. I'm sorry, the Mavericks are not going to win this series. Yeah. There's no way, no how. If the Mavericks win this series, that's the most surprised I'll be in any series since back in the day when the Seattle Supersonics. No. I'm going to go even further than that. I'm going to go to a better one. When Golden State won that 8-1 matchup way back in the day.
Way back.
This will be as surprised as I am.
Say not the Steph Curry Warriors.
No. The Baron Davis B. Diddy Warriors. That team. You know what I'm saying? So I don't see a way where Phoenix loses this series. Luka has to learn, and I've been saying this all year. You can go back and watch any of the shows. Mm-hmm. You cannot go out and score 50 points in the playoffs and win unless your team is not playing well and they're doing the other things for you. Yeah. Luka takes more shots than he should. He had a dominating first half this last game, and then Phoenix came out and said, nah, you're not doing it anymore. Right. And there went the game.
Yeah. The thing is, that's a situation they kind of keep finding themselves in, right? Is as long as Luka's the whole offense, and the problem I think Dallas has with Luka is he hasn't learned to share the ball yet, right?
Nope,
and
sure hasn't.
Luka is very talented, and we had this conversation earlier, because this isn't really a knock on Luka. Almost every young player has this problem, where they come in, they feel like they got to be the guy. The problem also happens in the fact that you have other guys who are now looking at how talented Luka is, and they're literally just standing around watching him play basketball. And at some point, you have to be able to step up and play. But then if you're Luka, you have to also find ways to get your team involved. You can't just try to take on everything. It's clearly not working for you. Now, unfortunately, I don't even know, even if he starts playing better or, playing more team ball, I don't even know if that helps. Because I just think that they just don't have the talent to beat Phoenix.
So for me, the one thing about it, for me, one other quick point is they played really well against Utah without him. And then he came back and they won that series. But Utah's a hot mess. You got the 2 stars. They don't want to play together. You got Gobert talking about it's me or him. And it probably should be both of y'all gone because neither one of y'all are alpha. But it almost feels like they're a better team without Luka, which should not be the case. But I think it's because he hasn't learned that unselfishness. Like, yo, I can make this shot, but let me get this dude the ball and get him involved in the game. And that's what all the great players had to learn. So he's in that learning process. He's got to the second round this year. So that's a upgrade from what they've done in the past. This is it for them. It's a wrap.
Yeah. So the other series over in the West right now, the one that's actually competitive, the one that we actually said would be interesting beforehand.
Yeah.
The Grizzlies and the Warriors tied at 1.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously there's been some things happen in this series, man. I mean, I don't know if you saw any of the headlines or anything, from stuff that was going on, but some fouls that occurred. So let's talk about those real quick. So let's start with the Draymond. So what are your initial thoughts on the Draymond foul?
Another dirty foul from a dirty player. You swat down, dude, trying to scratch him. You scratch so many people in the eyes in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? LeBron James, I still read from how many times you scratched his eye over the years. You know what I'm saying? You kick people in the privates, elbow people in the face, done all kind of things. And then you want to cry. You and your fans want to cry because you got kicked out of the game for another dirty play. You can't swat down somebody's face, grab their jersey, and pull them to the ground, and then try to use the excuse that you were trying to hold them up. So let's use physics, Sir Isaac Newton, right? If you grab something and you pull it down, it's gravity that's going to push it to the ground. So if you're trying to hold a guy up, why do you grab his jersey and pull downward? How is that holding him up? If you're trying to hold somebody up, you would grab them and pull upward or put your arm around them and hold them. This was a drag down. You tried to injure someone because you're a dirty player. It did not work, but you got kicked out for your intent.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. You can like it. You can not like it, but it is what it is. And that's what happened. Look at his history. I talk a lot about when we talk about different games, James Harden is another one of those guys. You look at the history, not dirty, but you look at the history, and that's how you know what he's going to do. I know he was not going to show up in the playoffs. This is nothing new. I know that Draymond Green was going to play dirty and whine. This is nothing new.
Yeah. Just a quick backtrack. I was just double checking something. I don't know how I missed this earlier, but Kyle Lowry is also going to be back tonight. So that just,
yeah,
further puts that in the hole. So yeah, so I agree with you in terms of, this play. I'm not going to sit there and necessarily say he was trying to injure somebody because I don't want to assume his intent. But what I will say is this. You certainly play with a certain recklessness towards your opponent's health. And in this instance, you clearly make contact with the face. Now, you talk how my hand got caught in his jersey. So, okay, your hand got caught. When your hand gets caught, I don't know about you, but my first instinct when my hand gets caught on something is not to squeeze my hand and grip it. And that's exactly what you did. You gripped and held on to the shirt. And then when they asked you on Inside the NBA, why didn't you just let go as you were falling down instead of dragging him down with you? Your response was, if I had let go, he was falling anyway, then they would have blamed you for that. So your mindset was, I'm going to get blamed either way. I might as well burn this dude down with me. That was your mindset? Because that's what I heard. That's not what you said, but that's what I heard.
Again, intent.
Yeah. So
all I got to say about that intent.
Yeah. So, that's my thoughts there. Now, there was another play and I'm trying to. My mind has gone blank. I can't remember his name right now.
Talking about
The dude
Dylan?
from Memphis. Yeah, Dylan.
Yeah.
So the Dylan foul is an interesting one. I don't think anybody would disagree that it's a foul.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't even think most people had an issue with it being a flagrant.
Yeah.
There was
Dylan
really
Brooks.
yeah, Brooks.
Yeah.
So we can, debate about whether he was going for the ball. You think he was going for the ball. I think that he was just trying to commit a hard foul personally. Either way, it was unnecessary for you to wind up and like cop back your arm and try to go for like this super hard swat, right? Like it was no point in it.
Yeah, it was stupid. No, it wasn't high basketball IQ play.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Here's my issue though. It happened in the first quarter. You got kicked out the game. So essentially you already served a 1-game suspension for this foul. And then the league, because you allowed the Golden State Warriors to bully you into making the decision, in my opinion, suspend this dude for another game. That foul did not warrant 2 games. Now, I know there's some people out there that disagree with that. They think, these dudes should be suspended for the rest of the playoffs or at least the rest of the series or whatever. Here's the thing. You cannot say just because somebody landed wrong, just because that person put their hand down when they're falling and ended up fracturing their elbow, just because that was the end result, you cannot sit there and say that's his fault. That was clearly not the intention. The intention was to either commit a foul or go for the ball. You did end up hitting them in the head. I don't have a problem with you kicking them out of the game, but this is a completely different play than the Draymond play.
Yeah, it's a joke. So I want to address a couple of different things. League, you're soft, but that's nothing new. We know that. Certain teams whine and cry enough if you do what you're supposed to do. Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Jordan Poole, Steve Kerr, everyone else that was whining and crying about the foul, I have lost all respect for you talking about this man broke a code. Is that the same code that allowed people to kick people in their meat? Is that the same code that allowed people to scratch people in the eyes? Is that the same code that allowed people to get busted open all the time by the dirtiest player in the game on your team? The problem for me is this. You whine and lamented that Draymond Green got kicked out of game 1 for what he did. This was not as bad as him. The outcome was worse. But if you've ever played basketball, you know whenever you're falling and you got contacted, whether it's a shot, whether it's a block, whether it's body bump, whatever, you don't put your hand out. This is the outcome when you do that. You get hit, you tuck and roll. You don't put your hand out to block. Human instinct, you put your hand out. But you're taught from a child as an athlete, a professional basketball player. I hurt, but I will say this. That was a respect losing moment for me for Golden State.
Yeah.
You know, I've never, I don't love Golden State. I love the Nuggets. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I cover Milwaukee for my other sports show I do, but the Nuggets is my squad. But if I'm looking at a team I don't really care about from the East, and then, Golden State in the past, I'm like, Golden State get it. Nah, I want you to lose now. You have moved up way up on my list of teams I don't want to see be successful because you're cowards. You support a dude that go out there and do dirty stuff all the time. But then when someone else has a bad play, it did cost your player to get injured. I get that. But then you want to try to call him out in different ways. You got these old, and then they try to use the old Golden State players. Oh, what a shot. Somebody used to play for Golden State thinks it's a dirty foul. Shut up. What are you talking about? You go sit over there with them. You're a chump too. This is men basketball. Like my man Big E just said, this is man basketball. You didn't come in here for the soft stuff. Now, I understand the dude got hurt. He was out the rest of the game. But then you turn around and suspend him another game. But shout out to a lot of people who said he was going to be suspended for the rest of the series or the rest of the playoffs, and he deserved all that. Did the league do that? Nah. You know why? They shouldn't have even really did the second game, but they had to do that to keep Golden State happy. So you can shut up all your talk about, he should be gone for the rest of the playoffs. It doesn't matter how far he's dirty. He broke all his codes. I'm going to say it like Shaq and Chuck said. It was a good hard foul. Whether you believe he went for the ball or not, there clearly was no intent to hurt anyone, and that's playoff basketball. It's unfortunate that somebody got hurt, but you don't change the narrative because of the outcome. You watch the play, you judge off of what happened. Your player is dirty. For you to have the nerve to call somebody else dirty, you lost a lot of respect from this guy moving forward. And I do not forget, and I'm very petty and vindictful. That's who I am.
Yeah, pretty much, man. I mean, that's my issue with a lot of the Golden State and a lot of the Golden State fans is you're being very critical about this and you're calling this dude dirty and all this other stuff when you have Draymond Green on your team. I'm like, come on, man. Like, it's not so much that they're calling him out and saying he's dirty or whatever. I expect fans to do that kind of stuff. But you can't do that when you have Draymond Green.
And then you talking about he broke the code. What code? Draymond Green broke the code like 30 times.
Yeah. Draymond has his own code. You can't break the code if you have your own code, sir. That's,
Draymond's code is right.
That's the Golden State mentality.
Everybody else adheres to the same code, but not us. We do what we want to do.
So, who do you have winning this series?
Golden State, Luke Cowards.
Yeah. I think Memphis can win 2, maybe even 3 games in this series. They're obviously talented, but we saw in the last round, they had their struggles with Minnesota. I think that Golden State is a team that's going to get hot enough that you're not going to beat them 4 times. So moving over to our final playoff series of this round, the aforementioned Milwaukee Bucks that I know you know against the Boston Celtics. So we are in disagreement on this series. You said Milwaukee is going to win. I'm not counting Milwaukee out
in 6.
But I did pick Boston to win the series. So
6.
Tell me what you've seen so far in these first 2 games, because this series right now is tied up 1-1.
Sure. I saw Milwaukee come out in game 1 and say we need to get a game on the road so we can take these boys home and house them. They got their game on the road. Boston came out in game 2, mad and embarrassed because of what they let happen to them in game 1. They shot a ridiculous amount of threes. They made more than they will ever get in this series, or probably a game in their life for the next 2-3 years. And they had a decent win, solid win. But you're 1-1, you lost your home court, and now you're going to Milwaukee. So when you're at home, when you're having your role players play their best, because I don't think anyone can deny role players play their best at home. So with your role players playing their best on offense, defense, making the shots, knowing their spots, sleeping in their beds, getting the same cookie, having the same routine, the baskets that they practice on and do everything on, you're only able to win 1 game. So now you're going to Milwaukee. So you're going to have to split with Milwaukee at home. And one thing I want to explain to people is Giannis had 24 points in game 1, 28 points in game 2. I'm going to have to think back. And I'd have to go look up stats for it to find out when Giannis has had 3 games under 30 points in a row. He hasn't got off in the series yet. He's played well. He's done enough, but he hasn't got off. You don't think he's going to get off at home? You don't think some of those free throws he misses on the road, he's going to make it home? You don't think he's going to be more comfortable pulling up from 3? You don't think some of those 50-50 calls of the flops that might go against him and make him hesitate, he's not going to be worried about getting it home? You don't think, other guys are going to play better at home? You don't think Drew Holiday is going to play better at home? You don't think Grayson Allen's going to play better at home? Pat Connaughton's going to play better at home? Lopez is going to play better at home? Portis is going to play better at home? You're now going into the Lions' den. You didn't hold court at home. Now you got to go to Milwaukee and beat them. And Boston has good defense, and I'm not going to take that away from them. But that's Giannis. And it's about time for Giannis to shake it off and get busy. He's got a body. He's a man. He's a man body. That's the difference between him and Durant. Not a knock on Durant. You can't help what size you are. There's nothing he can do to get bigger. But that's the difference. And that's why he's going to be able to go to that goal and rock it.
I have to do something on that note.
That's why the man's still in the playoffs.
I couldn't help it, man. You just, you set it up. I just had to go and tee it off, bro.
Well said, Biggie. Well said.
So yeah, man. part of my thought process with this series was I didn't want to completely rule Milwaukee out because they are the defending champs, right?
Reigning
And there's
and
something to be
defending.
said for that, right? So when you are the reigning defending champs, like us, World Tag Team Champions, Interactive Sports Talk, you do have to acknowledge us. You do have to at least take into account that they know how to win. They know how to find themselves out of bad situations. But I felt like with Chris Middleton being out, I felt like with Boston really focused on the defensive side, we both know that. Right? Why are you watching our promo video, bro? What's up with that?
What promo video?
You think I don't know that music, man? Come on, bro. But
My
yeah, I
hand
felt
hit my
like
phone by accident. My bad.
I do feel like Boston, plays good defense and defense travels well, even on the road. Now, obviously, this series tied at 1. Boston did lose a game at home. So in order for them to get back into this series, I agree with you. They have to find a way to win one of these next 2 games. If they do not win one of these next 2 games, I don't care how good your defense is, it's a wrap. So we'll see. I'm still going to stick with them for the time being. But
Now,
I'm
we'll
also
say-
going to throw in the caveat that if they lose the next 2 games, they done.
Now, we'll say this. Milwaukee, you better use Giannis on those screens like you were doing in game 2. You found out a lot of things you can do against this defense in game 2. So make sure you use those things. And Bobby Portis, Brooke Lopez, Giannis, you need to get down low. Stop shooting threes. Take the ball to the hole. Allow your shooters to shoot. Get them rebounds and be men. And you know why you should be men? I'll tell you why you should be men.
Playoffs. Quoting Big E here on the Play Color Sports Talk Show.
Yes, sir.
So Big E, by the way, we were trying to hire you on to be a soccer specialist earlier. So,
Yeah.
Want to go get your application in. Just submit your resume to Cool McCain.
At playcolorsportstalk.com.
So, yeah, man. So let's go ahead and actually go back and answer this other question that we had a little bit earlier. Let me go back and find it here.
From the big homie Key Usfl.
Yeah. So how do you feel about the USFL? So I'm going to be honest here. I haven't actually got a chance to watch any of the games for the USFL yet. But I am glad that we have both them and the XFL coming back for a couple reasons. Number one is they're going to fill a gap of football in between college and NFL, right? Because we have this gap at this time of year. We really don't have any football. So I'm glad that we're going to have that as an option. It's just my schedule hasn't allowed me to be able to tune into it yet. But I'm glad that we at least have the option. The other thing is this is going to present another opportunity for a lot of guys who maybe didn't want to go to the CFL, but they made it into the NFL or they were an undrafted free agent. And then a couple of years later, they really developed their skills and could come back and make it to the NFL, but they didn't have a real route to do that. So this is going to provide them another route. I actually like what the XFL is doing a little bit more because they actually partnered with the NFL to basically be kind of a feeder system. So I like the fact they're doing that. But I do know with the USFL, they are actually trying some different stuff. I didn't get to see too much on how well it worked out, but I know they were working with the GPS tracker and the ball instead of depending on chains and stuff like that. So that is something I need to go back and revisit and see how that's working out. But I like the fact that these leagues can take some chances like that. They can be a little bit innovative in their approach to stuff. And anytime you have the opportunity where people don't have to be scared, because let's be honest, the NFL at this point, they play everything safe. They're not going to be innovative at this point. So we need somebody new to come along to be innovative.
Yeah, I just want to shout out my my Philadelphia Stars. They're 1-2, but their one win was against their rival, the Pittsburgh team. So we did get a win against them. We're not going to talk about the fact that the Pittsburgh Maulers are 0-3. We're just going to talk about how the fact that Philadelphia Stars beat them.
But
The moment that they
what's important is
reannounced,
one of those 3 losses, though, right? That's what's important.
exactly. Once they announced the USFL and the Philadelphia Stars were there, for those who may not understand, if you're Philadelphia and you're professional football at any level, you've already got me. Flag was fly. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to that. Also, the New Jersey Generals. They're 2-1. So what we saw the first week of the season in this is we saw that the South is superior to the North. All the South teams played the North team the first week. They were 4-0. The South does not have a team that is defeated and hasn't won a game. They do have a 1-win team, but they have 2-2-1 teams and then 3-0 team in the South. The North has the Generals at 2-1 from New Jersey. The Stars and Panthers from Michigan are only 1 game back. Feels weird saying Michigan Panthers, but hey, that's probably because I live in Charlotte. And then, of course, the Maulers are 0-3. What I like about the standings for the USFL, for those who may not know, they actually count your points, right? It's your points for and your points against. That determines your spot. So, for instance, the Philadelphia Stars and the Michigan Panthers are both 1-2. The Philadelphia Stars have 63 points for, 70 points against, right? The Panthers have 42 points for, 27 points against. So the Stars are ahead of the Panthers, even though they have the same record. So they have tiebreakers built in that are not depending upon some quadratic of craziness some dude made back in the 80s. And then you try to add some
levels of.
It's cut and dry. So I like it, man. I think the USFL is a good alternative, especially in the off season for those like myself who really like watching football. And I've been able to catch a couple of the games. I can't remember what team it was, but one of the games, actually it's been a few games, threw an interception, right? Guy caught the interception. He had the helmet cam on. So we're hearing him catch the ball, like, ooh, and as he's going through scoring a touchdown because he scored right off the pick. So it's just amazing to see those innovations with the helmets, like you said, with the ball, with some of the rules, the kicks and the kickoffs and different things that they have a chance to implement. But I want to just say this real quick, and y'all know I'm an XFL guy. The XFL is coming next year. The XFL is coming. So be ready. USFL was smart to get the 1 year jump. I think something that may be beneficial for both of them, because the XFL is going to be working with the NFL too, is maybe they have their champs play each other. And it may take a year or two to make it happen, but maybe the XFL champ and the USFL champ play each other, for a championship. There may be something that may bring a little bit more excitement to both leagues and kind of make things matter. But yeah, bro, I like the USFL, man. But don't forget, the XFL is coming.
So very similar to when the AFL and the NFL came together for something they called the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
maybe I heard a little something about
it. It could be the Game of Champions.
Game of Champions.
You have to say it like that. You can't say Game of Champions. You have to say the Game of Champions. You have to use the game Blouse's voice. The Game of Champions. That's how you have to do it. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
No problem.
So yeah, so hopefully that did answer that question, man. Got about 16 and a half minutes left here, so let's turn our attention to the NFL post-draft. So I'm gonna go ahead and normally I make you wait, man, just to torture you a little bit. But you know what, man? I'm gonna go ahead and let you get it out of the way, because your team, the Philadelphia Eagles, definitely belongs at or near the top of the list of teams who won the draft this year. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you a few minutes to shine and talk about your team.
Where do you begin? I think I can find a place. Trading up to the 13th pick and grabbing off a defensive lineman, a defensive tackle, a guy that's a run stopper, right? From the reigning and defending national champs, the Georgia Bulldogs. Davis is going to be that guy, man. What he's going to do is he's going to help with the weakness the Eagles have had, and that's the run defense. And not that he's fast. I talked about it. If you go watch the Eagles Elite show, I did the complete breakdown this past week, me and my co-host, on the whole draft. And by the way, Cheap Pop, Wednesday nights, 8:30 p.m. Go to YouTube, type in Eagles Elite Podcast, and you'll see this face. But back to the lecture at hand. He's quick for a guy his size. He's a guy that's really going to help. I'm excited that we jumped above Baltimore because I do believe that he's a guy that Baltimore would have grabbed if he was there. So glad that we made that move. And then, bro, my whole life changed. My whole world changed. Because we took the 18th pick, we packaged it with the 101st pick, and we went and we got A.J. friggin' Brown. Okay? What's important about it being this specific person? This is Jalen Hurts' best friend.
Yeah.
He's a top 5 receiver in the NFL. And now he's a Philadelphia Eagle.
Yeah.
Y'all going to see a whole lot of number 11s get pulled out. But that was, man, definitely the highlight of the draft. And one of the reasons why I feel like we get a lot of love for the draft is because we were able to pull that move off with a draft pick. And you think about it, you gave up 18 and 101. That's not a large haul. It's not bad, but it's not a large haul, especially compared to some of the other deals. And this is a dude that's still ascending in the league. He hasn't, he's on a 4-year deal. He's only 3 years into the league.
Yeah.
This coming season, $4 million against the cap. It's crazy. Then we go to the second round and we pick up Jason Kelce's replacement. So a story about that is very simple. For the past 2-3 years, the Eagles have been having Jason Kelce break down film on centers coming out of the draft. That's the reason we drafted Landon Dickerson last year. Appreciate that, Key Usfl. That's the reason we drafted him last year. But then a guy we got this year, we were able to go back and look, and he's the same type of player as Jason Kelce. He's a little undersized, but he's fast. Mm-hmm. He can make all the plays, and he'll be able to continue to allow our offense to do the same thing when he takes over in a year or two. Pull and go block. For run plays, for screen plays, for slants, he can do those things, and that's what you want replacing a guy that's done that for us for so long. I'll stop at Nakobe Dean because the show can't be all about the Eagles. To get Nakobe Dean in the 3rd round, to have the grapefruits to say we're going to wait on Nakobe Dean and grab him and try to grab him with our 3rd round pick, and it works. Some injury concerns. Some people talking about his size at like 5'11". Nakobe Dean's a playmaker. He's a leader. He's a dog, right? He's cleared to play. The Eagles talked to his doctors multiple times. The people that evaluated him at the combine and different stuff to make sure that he was going to be able to play this year, and he is. So nothing there. NFL, I want to thank you because you gave us Nakobe Dean, and you pissed him off. So now we have a pissed off guy that was just a national championship in college playing with his teammate. This is going to be fun. I'm really excited about what the Eagles should be this year. I think we've catapulted up quite a bit based off of the draft. Still some moves to make. Still don't think we're anywhere near the best team, but we're way above the bottom than where we were at before this process started.
Yeah. One thing I do want to just share real quick with people, if you are a Philadelphia Eagles fan and you would like to find my host other show, the Eagles Elite Podcast, you can also find it by going to the Play Caller Sports Talk page and scrolling down to the bottom, and you will see a link directly to the Eagles Elite Podcast there. So that's another way you could find it if you can't find it in the search.
Yeah. I should have mentioned that. I got a little excited though. But I should have mentioned
yeah, just Well, to be fair, man, I actually just added it while you were talking. So,
okay.
Yeah. So my thing when I look at this draft, I mean, obviously y'all did a great job, and I appreciate so much. Right. By the way, he also said appreciates that. One thing I really appreciate so much about what y'all did with AJ Brown is a couple things. So number one, you just made our life easier, right? Because not only did you trade and you didn't give up like an asinine amount to get AJ Brown, but you also were able to ink him to a new deal, which the numbers I saw the updated numbers. I think he's actually a little bit more against your cap this year, is like $5 million, which still is like ridiculously cheap, right? But his total guarantees on the new deal are actually only like 40 million. So the total guarantees like 57, but the new guarantees are only like 40 million. So, we got a guy out in San Francisco who, wasn't too happy about his contract, whatever, and was requesting a trade, had unfollowed the team on social media and all this other stuff. And conveniently, after we told the Lions and the Jets to go take a hike, which I'll talk about those trades here in just a second. He's now, came out and re-liked the team on social media, refollowed the team, and things look like they're headed for a good thing there. So,
Who would that player be, sir? Just if anybody's been living under a rock.
That would be Deebo Samuel.
Appreciate that.
So yeah, the game of champions. It's been approved. So
Yes, sir.
yeah. So Deebo, has reliked the team and once, seems to be more open to working something out. I do have to give at least a little bit of an assist to the Philadelphia Eagles on that. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here talking about my Niners. We made some good moves. I got a podcast of my own coming up here soon. I'm going to do some videos on that that will kind of break down my thoughts on the draft. But I just at least want to acknowledge the fact that one of the big wins for San Francisco on this draft was not trading Deebo Samuel in the first round. So, just want to acknowledge that real quick. By the way, if you are a Jets fan, I have two things to say to you. So, number one, y'all out y'all minds if you actually thought that we're going to take the number 10 pick and a 5th rounder and give you Deebo and a second. Yeah, out your 11 minds if you actually thought that was going to fly. But I also want to acknowledge the fact that y'all had a fantastic draft.
Yeah, the Jets, man. So I made the joke when we were on the show. I was like, they look like a bunch of idiots in that room. And they did look like a bunch of idiots. Yep. But guess what? They didn't draft like a bunch of idiots. And that's all that really matters. Yeah. It was funny, man. I also want to say I have 2 words for the Tennessee Titans. The first one is thank. The last one is you. Next 2 years, second favorite team is Tennessee Titans. After what you did for us, I have to give you some love.
Yeah. So when I look at the Jets, I mean, man, to be able to come back and get a guy like Jermaine Johnson at the end of the first, that's insane, bro. Like,
how about you tell him about Jermaine Johnson? I think you know a little bit about him, don't you?
Man, listen. You heard me. If y'all tuned in live during our draft coverage, I'm sitting there the whole night going, how is Jermaine Johnson still on the board? This dude transferred into Florida State through the portal. And this was a team that wasn't really that good. This wasn't a team that wasn't even expected to make a bowl game, if we're being honest about it, right? So for him to come into that team to say, you know what, I'm going to come be a part of the culture. I'm going to come be a culture builder, right? Because I want a chance to be able to get on the field, play, and prove myself. Left Georgia, came to Florida State, could, when they had a national title this year. But what was more important to him was to get his opportunity to get on the field and be a part of building up something. He was a leader by all accounts in the locker room. He was a leader on the field, even in games where we're getting blown out. Jermaine Johnson was out there giving 120% on every single play. The dude is a dog. People were having trouble blocking him. I don't understand how he made it to the end of the first round, but the Jets got a steal. Might be the steal of the draft. I mean, I know you were excited about Dean in the 3rd, and people might rate that as a steal just because of where you got him. But Jermaine Johnson might end up being a steal this draft.
Hey, if he's the steal and Dean's the second best steal, I'm still happy. If he's the 3rd best steal, I'm still happy. You know what I'm saying? So we're talking about a lot of teams that did well. And shout out to the Giants. I think the Giants had a good draft as well. I think the Ravens, with what they were able to do, they bettered their team. It's not always the flashy moves. Sometimes it's the moves that help the needs. They went and got a center late in the first round, and then they got Kyle Hamilton, the safety, early in the first round. which brings up another interesting tidbit. I do believe Baltimore has a safety that they may be attempting to move on from. I do believe there's a team that drafted right before them that could definitely use a safety. So Baltimore, call us. Let's get something worked out. Let's make that happen. But there was one team that we can definitely say did not have a good draft. They picked at pick 24 in the first round. They're affectionately known on our show as the Arlington football team. And
listen, the only thing that went worse than the Cowboys draft was the Cowboys post draft. So let's talk about it. So first of all, you reached for a guy, right? And Cowboys fans, I'm sorry, we have to do this to you because we even had a Cowboys fan on that came on with us in the comment section during the draft, was not happy about this pick.
Right, not happy is not the nah. He was pissed.
I'm keeping it PG. Right?
He was pissed. You know what I'm saying? He was pissed.
So here's the thing: when I look at this pick, you know what? I kind of give it a little bit of leeway. Do I feel like it was the right pick? No. Were there other offensive linemen, if you wanted to go that route, you should have taken? Absolutely. Was Jermaine Johnson still on the board? Yes. Do you need a pass rusher? Yes. So to me, it wasn't the best decision to make. But you know something? I'm going to be fair. A couple of years ago, we all said the exact same thing about Travis Fredericks. And that worked out fantastic for them. So, maybe lightning strikes twice, right? But dude, how Jerry Jones gonna go on TV after the first round, bro? Not after the draft, but after the first round. And when people started questioning the pick, Jerry got mad and said, "Oh, we had him ranked higher than these other people. They only had like 13 people on their big board, or maybe it might have been 16. But not even enough to fill up the first round as first round talent."
And keep in mind, you picked 24th. Right. So simple math. If you pick 24th, you've got to at least have 24 people on your big board.
Yeah.
You picked 24th.
And here's my question. If you don't feel that if there's only 16 people that you feel are worthy of a first round pick, maybe they feel like this guy was one of them, right? But if you think that, you only got 16 people and you're drafting a 24, why don't you just trade back? Because here's the thing. Jerry Jones actually held up their draft board. Actually showed it to the TV cameras. Dude, you know what, man? It was a moment where I actually felt a little bit of pity for Cowboy fans. I mean, I don't like y'all. I mean, y'all don't like us. We don't like you.
No one likes us.
Like you. You don't like him. So
yeah, no one likes us. We don't care.
It's all respect and love. But hey, without the respect. So it is what it is.
Or the love. But so when I look at this pick, man, I think back to 2 drafts ago when I lost all faith in my general manager when he drafted Jalen Reagor in the first round. When there were several guys who could have been a better pick, notwithstanding the guy who everybody, I still get upset when I think about it. Everybody said he should pick. Everybody said, "Oh yeah, we about to get." I can't say his name. I'm not even gonna say his name, but I gotta say it. Justin Jefferson. So Justin Jefferson was sitting there. And the worst part of all this, and honestly, if we did that, we probably don't get AJ Brown. So it's probably kind of a wash at the end. But we're sitting there. Justin Jefferson even said in multiple interviews, my phone rang. I'm thinking, oh, this got to be the Eagles. He answers the phone. It's Minnesota. And we picked Jalen Reagor. So Arlington football team, I'm going to laugh at you a little bit, but I'm not going to laugh too much because we picked Jalen Reagor in the first round 2 years ago. Yep. And that still hurts.
Yeah. I mean, listen, man, we've all made bad draft choices. We've all watched our team make bad draft choices, man. It happens.
Really bad.
But you know what? I can at least say that my owner's never gone on national television and showed everybody our draft boards after
I can
round
say
one.
that as well.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll just throw that out there.
But that's why it's the Arlington football team, sir.
One team we gotta address that just left you kind of shaking your head. What was the Patriots doing, bro?
Hey man, I guess they needed a guard.
I'm like, okay, that's okay. That's okay. That's what you're doing. So, were there any other teams that you felt like really did well with the draft this year?
I think the Panthers did a good job. They got Ike Ekwonu. I may or may not have said that name correctly. But he was one of the guys that most people anticipated going first overall. And he actually fell to them at 6. That was a really good pick. It's important because they need a lineman, right? They need to build that line. So making a good pick, you only had one, but making a good solid pick with that for your future, because this was not a strong quarterback draft. You know, if we want to talk about another team that I am iffy on right now, we definitely have to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
You have an offense built for a guy like Malik Willis, and you drafted Kenny Pickett.
I'm gonna be honest. I know a lot of people made a big deal out of this, and I still feel like out of the guys that are there, I think Willis has the highest potential upside. But I don't think any of these guys deserve to go in the first round.
I mean, I wouldn't have been upset with you, but I think if it was a team that was going to take a quarterback, we knew it was the Steelers, and we knew that they would have their choice of who to pick. Yeah. I mean, you picked the hometown guy, right? So I guess you're going with that narrative. Let me explain to you. That's the same as picking a guy because his dad played for the team.
Who would do something like that?
Howard Roseman would do something like that. And apparently, so would the Steelers. And it might work out. Kenny Pickett might be the perfect guy, as long as you're going to do some more revamping. Because, like I said, you're a team built for a guy that's more of a dual threat with a good arm, because that's what Ben Roethlisberger was.
Yeah.
But hey, I mean, that's the way they decided to go with their draft. Right now, you have to question it, but things could all work out for the best in the end. That's something we'll see.
Yeah, when looking at my division, obviously my team didn't have a first round pick. The Rams didn't have a first round pick. Seattle, man, if I'm Russ, I'm a little upset with them. Like, you finally gonna go draft some offensive linemen, jerk faces. As much as I hate to admit it, man, Seattle had a really good draft. Now I think that they have a lot of holes, and as long as they're competing with the quarterbacks that they're competing with this year, I'm not concerned with them. But yeah, they had a really good draft. Not too happy about that. And the Cardinals, they had an okay draft. But big move that they made was trading for Marquise Brown.
And I wonder why they did that.
Probably because he's going to come in and take the place of some guy who got massively overpaid in Jacksonville.
Well, actually,
you know what? I think that's a good thing to wrap up here, because we are a few minutes over. But I think this is a good one to wrap up on. A lot of controversy around that first pick. A lot of people felt that Jacksonville should have taken the more sure thing in a guy like Hutchinson. If you wanted to go potential upside, maybe you take a guy like Thibodeau, who the Giants were able to end up getting. But they decided to take Walker from Georgia. And this is a guy who, let's be honest, quite frankly, was manufactured at the combine. Because you didn't really hear a lot of hype around him all season. And that's not a knock on him. It's just, it is what it is. You didn't hear much about him until the combine. So I'm curious, what are your thoughts on their approach here, going with the potential upside versus taking more of a sure thing?
My only comment is leave it to Jacksonville. That's all I have to say about that. Leave it to Jacksonville. I do want to say, DeAndre Hopkins, you are killing me, sir. You are killing me.
Forget about that.
You are killing my fantasy teams. You are killing me, sir. You are my keeper. Why are you not playing? Whoever you have that does your smoothies, that gets you your supplements, and does all those things, they need a new position within your group because they let you down, and in turn, you let me down. Do better.
So I'm going to connect some dots for you for a second. So he had somebody who he's depending on to look out for him, to make sure that he gets what he needs, to make sure that he's developing correctly, right? Is it possible that the person who gets the smoothies is Ryan Tannehill? Because that's not his job, man. It's not his job, okay? I will just throw out real quick, man. I know a lot of people are really upset with him about these comments, and he's getting like bashed left and right. Honestly, I don't really have a problem with it. I know we want to praise guys who do mentor the young guy and all that stuff. And you know what, man? If you actually go out of your way to mentor the guy that they're bringing in to replace you, if you're actually being a great teammate, you're doing all those things, you absolutely deserve praise for doing that. The problem is too many people have now created this as an expectation. You know whose job it is? Yeah. Look, you know whose job it is to develop a young quarterback? The coaching staffs.
You mean the QB coach, the OC, and the head coach? Those guys? Yeah. None of which Ryan Tannehill are?
Right. So if you have a veteran quarterback who is actually investing in a young quarterback, that's cool, and they deserve praise for that. Don't try to make that expectation, man. No.
Too late for that, sir. Look, too late for that.
Look, Ryan Tannehill just lost AJ Brown. He's not very secure in his job security right now. Me asking that man.
Yeah. So yeah, I want to say y'all gotta remember this. He's right now Carl Thomas, right? He's very emotional.
Yeah.
You just traded AJ Brown. You brought in a young guy, but he ain't AJ Brown. He may be at least partially as good, but you don't know that yet. But right now, he's an emotional guy. So you stick a microphone in an emotional man's face, you can't get mad at him for the response.
Right. Especially when the question is hey, are you going to help the guy that they brought in to replace you?
I bet in his mind he's hearing, I'm emotional. While he was being asked that question.
This dude said Carl Thomas emotional.
Carl Thomas.
Well, man, that is our time for the week, man. This hour plus has gone by awfully fast. But if you tuned in tonight, really appreciate it, especially everybody who joined in with the chat. If you haven't already done so, please like the video. That's one way that lets YouTube know that you appreciate the content and they should share with other people. And also, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. And then if you get the little bell notification on top of that, it'll let you know when we actually go live or when we post new events to plan to go live. So definitely do that and come back and check us out next Friday night, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If there's any NFL news, we'll talk about it.
Yes, sir.
We'll definitely talk some NBA.
Yep, I just want to say, I knew you win. You had a friend.
And all I want to say is...